Hey guys, this is Dr. Hub. In case you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to learn and grow daily. Let's talk about the embryological derivatives of the eye. So under this embryological derivatives of the eye, it is divided into the neural ectoderm, the surface ectoderm, the mesoderm, and lastly the neural crest. Now let's talk about the neural ectoderm. So under this neural ectoderm, there are the smooth muscles of the iris and all the epithelium is present here. So neural ectoderm, it contains all the epithelium. And first is the smooth muscles. The smooth muscles of the iris. The smooth muscles of the iris, it includes the sphincter and the dilator pupillae. The sphincter and the dilator pupillae. Next is what are the epithelium which are present. So under epithelium, it contains the ciliary epithelium, it contains the iris epithelium, it contains the retina and the retinal pigment epithelium. Retina and the retinal pigment epithelium. Next, what are the other things it is present? It has the fibers of the optic nerve, and the secondary and the tertius vitreous. Secondary and the tertiary vitreous. So let's quickly recap the neural ectoderm derivatives. So under the neural ectoderm derivatives, we saw the smooth muscles. The smooth muscles of the iris, the sphincter pupillae, dilator pupillae, and we saw a varied range of epithelium, including the retinal pigment epithelium. Then we also spoke about the optic nerve fibers and the vitreous. So under the vitreous, we had the secondary as well as the tertiary vitreous. Now let's move on to the surface ectoderm. So we speak about the surface ectoderm. So what about the surface ectoderm? So the surface ectoderm, it contains a crystalline lens. So there is crystalline lens is the surface ectoderm. Then here there is also presence of glands. So there is presence of glands as well as there is presence of the epithelium. So in presence of glands, there is the lacrimal gland as well as there is presence of the tarsal glands. And talking about the epithelium, it contains the corneal and the conjunctival epithelium. So it contains two epithelium starting with CO. So there is only CO epithelium. So CO can be corneal or CO can be conjunctival. So it contains a CO epithelium and the lacrimal and the tarsal glands. So to quickly recap, we saw the surface ectoderm. The surface ectoderm, it contains a crystalline lens. And talking about the epithelium, it contains a CO epithelium, that is, it can be the corneal or it can be the conjunctival epithelium. And it contains glands, that is a LT glands. LT gland stands for the lacrimal as well as the tarsal glands. Next, we will move on to the mesoderm and the neural crest. So what's happening in the mesoderm and the neural crest? So under the mesoderm, it contains the extraocular muscles. So mesoderm for the muscles, extraocular muscles. Then there is a supratemporal part of the sclera. Supratemporal part. And this is nothing but of the sclera. Next comes the choroidal vessels. This is choroidal vessels. As well as there is primary vitreous. There is primary vitreous and the vascular epithelium. So let's quickly recap. We spoke about the mesoderm. M for mesoderm, M for the muscles. What muscles? It is a EOM or extraocular muscles. Then we also spoke about it being a part of the sclera, that is the supratemporal it contains 3 V's, V, V, V. So one V is the vessels. What vessels? It is the choroidal vessels. Other V is the vitreous. What vitreous? It is the primary vitreous. Third one being the V for the vascular endothelium. So it contains 3 V's. Mesoderm contains 3 V's. The choroidal vessels, the primary vitreous, as well as the vascular endothelium. Next, lastly, we move on to the neural crest. So what is about the neural crest? The neural crest, it contains the corneal stroma. So there is a corneal stroma. Next is the keratocytes, as well as the endothelium. So corneal stroma, keratocytes, and the endothelium. Next part of the neural crest, it includes the sclera. The sclera except the supratemporal. So supratemporal we saw was a part of the mesoderm. So except the supratemporal, and the neural crest, it contains the iris and the choroidal stroma as well. So iris and the choroidal stroma. Next, there are a lot of melanocytes. So neural crest cells, it leads to melanocytes. That is uveal melanocytes as well as the conjunctival UC melanocytes. Uveal and the conjunctival melanocytes. And the neural crest. The neural crest, so as the name suggests, NC. So C for ciliary muscles. And mesoderm we saw M for the muscles, that is the extraocular muscles. So NC, C for the ciliary muscles. Now let's recap what is a neural crest cells. So under the NC cells, we saw there is a corneal stroma. So there is corneal stroma, there is keratinocytes and the endothelium. Then we also spoke about the sclera, and we also saw the supratemporal was part of the sclera was in the mesoderm. So here it is going to be, except that the sclera is present in the neural crest. Next is the stroma. Stroma we have IC stroma, that is the iris and the choroidal stroma. Then melanocytes, you have UC stroma, or easier way, the melanocytes, there is a CU. CU, C for the conjunctival, and U for the uveal melanocytes. Next is the neural crest, it also leads to the ciliary. C for neural crest and C for the ciliary muscles. To watch more videos like these and grow daily, subscribe to the Dr. Hub channel.